there so many women against doing paternity tests when the baby is born?
If a woman is pregnant with a child, we know that she's pregnant. We know that the child is hers because it's growing in her body.
In my comment section, there are women talking about how women are entitled to bodily autonomy and that they also have to look out for the bodily autonomy of the child.
Ladies and gentlemen, what is wrong with a mandatory paternity test at birth? Nobody should find that offensive.
I get that it might be embarrassing or kind of rude, but shouldn't the father be able to know that the child is his just like the mother knows that the child is hers because it came out of her?
This topic is about mandatory paternity test at birth. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm Travis, and welcome to the IPH Theory. Also, I am one half of the Cultural Discussions. Please like, follow, and subscribe to both entertainment channels on YouTube. Ladies and gentlemen, today I'm coming to you with a lesson that it's dear to my heart. It means a lot to me. And I've already done my own lesson about this topic, but there's a intelligent young lady that is speaking towards this topic. And I just want to let you know that I'm not the only person that feels like this. Ladies and gentlemen, this topic is about mandatory paternity test at birth. This needs to be global. Even if it's not a law, it needs to be a hospital policy in every country, every city, every town, every village around the world. Here we go. Oh, also, ladies and gentlemen, once again, I spoke about this in 2 lessons. One lesson was, mandatory paternity test at birth. And I have another lesson that's entitled, The Engagement is Off, so give him back the ring. I know you're like, Travis, what? But within that, I spoke about it as well. You should check out both of those and I will leave the thumbnails. Now, here we go.
Why are there so many women against doing paternity tests when the baby is born? I just made a video about the Laura Owens situation, a woman who accused the bachelor Clayton Eckert of being the father of her child, being indicted for paternity fraud because essentially she said that she was pregnant by him. She wasn't actually pregnant at all. So the judge actually decided to report her, and now there is a criminal case open against her for the paternity fraud. In my comment section, there are women talking about how women are entitled to bodily autonomy and that they also have to look out for the bodily autonomy of the child. To do a DNA test, you don't actually need the DNA of the mother. Does it help the test go smoother? Yes, but having the mother's DNA is definitely not required. I get that it might be embarrassing or kind of rude, but shouldn't the father be able to know that the child is his just like the mother knows that the child is hers because it came out of her? It seems like we should know who the father of our children are, and it shouldn't be offensive for someone to ask for a DNA test.
I absolutely agree with this intelligent young lady. Ladies and gentlemen, if a woman is pregnant with a child, we know that she's pregnant. We know that the child is hers because it's growing in her body and in her belly. But technically, as a man, I don't know if that's my child. Ladies and gentlemen, please don't listen with your emotions. Listen with your logic. I don't know if that baby is mine. I'm not saying I don't trust my wife. I'm not saying I don't trust my girl. I'm not saying I don't trust my fiance. I trust truth. And truth needs to be embedded in our laws. Ladies and gentlemen, what is wrong with a mandatory paternity test at birth? Nobody should find that offensive. And if you find that offensive, you are the issue in society. If I was a woman I would want my man to know that the child is his. And if you're an honest person, you shouldn't get mad at that. Like, for instance, imagine a woman getting mad because her husband or her boyfriend or her fiance wants a paternity test, right? But check this out. If that same man was her son or her brother, would you get mad at your brother for wanting a paternity test? If you wouldn't get mad at your brother for wanting a paternity test, don't get mad at your husband or your fiance or your boyfriend for wanting a paternity test. Men don't want their lives stolen because this is high levels of theft. Like I said, I have a lesson. According to medium.org, 1 out of 4 men are unknowingly stepdads. Key word, unknowingly. Imagine you raise a child for 8 years. You've given your time, you've given your leadership, you have given your money and your protection for this child. And you find out 8 years later that this is not your biological child. That hurts. That is painful. That will leave a man devastated and distraught and discouraged. That is high levels of theft. You just stolen my life, my time, my money, when I can be out here with a trustworthy woman who wouldn't mind me having a paternity test. I'm not going to spend too much time on this because I've spent a lot of time on this. If you follow this channel and you've seen that video, you know that I am telling the truth. Mandatory paternity test at birth needs to be implemented in the laws. If not in the laws, it needs to be a part of every hospital policy in the child birthing section of that hospital. There is absolutely nothing wrong with me wanting to know that that is my baby. And honestly, whenever I have a child, whether my sweetheart, as in my wife or my girl, whether she believes it or not, there's going to be times when I'm with my son or my daughter. And guess what? I'm going to the clinic. And like they say, it would be helpful if we had the DNA of both parents, but we have the child here, so they have both of our DNAs. There's nothing wrong with mandatory paternity tests at birth. Gentlemen, do not let anybody down you for wanting to know if that baby is yours. Gentlemen, mandatory paternity test at birth. I don't care what they say. I don't care how they make you feel. But anyway, I'm going to wrap this up. It's starting to rain out here where I am. And sometimes rain can mess up the internet, and I don't have time for that. I'm on the internet right now, obviously. I pray for your peace. Men and women, we all need peace and tranquility and prayer. Is that baby mine? Only a test will let me know. Now, don't get me wrong. If I've been with the same woman for 12 years and she's pregnant, it's a strong possibility that it's mine. I was there. I hope. And I pray. But if the baby is not mine, we're done. There's no way that you are not going to hold another man accountable, but hold me accountable for it. Oh, no, 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 no. That's flat out wicked. It's sickening and it's wrong. But I like the word erroneous and abysmal. Have a wonderful day.